Hello! You're listening to the Oklahoma Onstage podcast, the online source for all things theater in Oklahoma. We're glad you've joined us. We would love to hear your feedback, so drop us an email at oklahomaonstage@gmail.com or use the comment form on our website, which is oklahomaonstage.org. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe. Oh, and leave us a rating and review. It would really help us out. Now, sit back and relax. Another great episode starts right now.
Welcome back to Oklahoma On Stage, everybody. As always, I am Tim, your host, and we are continuing our series on Oklahoma educators, those individuals that are bridging the gap for theater and that are raising up the next generation with a new passion for what we do in this art form. So, question: how do you sustain a professional acting career for nearly 20 years while also teaching full time? How do you go from performing on Broadway workshops to directing high school students in Durant, Oklahoma? And what does it take to serve on the board of one of Oklahoma's most prestigious theater festivals while still stepping on stage yourself? Today's guest has answers to all of those questions and more. She's an Actors Equity member, educator, and Oklahoma theater champion, and she's here to share her incredible journey. Oklahoma On Stage family, please join me in welcoming Natalie Weaver to the podcast. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Tim. What a beautiful intro. I teared up. I know our audiences can't see me, but I have tears in my eyes. So thank you for such a lovely intro. I appreciate it.
That's great. That's great. So, as I said, after the intro, we're just going to dive right into it.
Let's do it.
Let's start with the basics. Where we're going to talk a little bit about you and how the theater bug bit you.
That is that is an interesting story. And my story will sound different than probably most of the people you have met, especially in your Oklahoma onstage journey and the people, some of the podcasts I've listened to. So often you meet people and their story is, oh, I did my first show at 6 or 7 years old, and I've been on the stage my whole life. My story is very different. I grew up in a very small town, and we didn't have theater. It was not an option. I didn't know that people did theater. Um, I would sit around with my cousins at my grandmother's house and watch movie musicals. We loved movie musicals, but I'd never seen a musical staged. I'd never seen a play. Um, I was in choir. We had a choir for a very short time at my school, and it was dissolved. But while it was there, I was in the choir for a little while. We had band, so I played French horn all the way through high school. I played piano as a young child. We knew that music was going to be a part of my life. My mom called me a songbird from about age 2. She said I never stopped singing. So I knew that music would be a part of my life. I just didn't know there was this other world. And when it was time to start looking at colleges, I was accepted into the scholars program at Carl Albert State College, which is in Poto, a community college. We call them junior colleges. Back in my day,
Way back
we
then.
we called them junior colleges, and I was going to pursue. I was getting my associates in music, taking sight singing and ear training, composing, music theory, all of the things, and almost it felt random to me. They said one day, "Hey, we're going to do a musical." I was like, "Okay. I've never done a musical before. Sign me up." So we did Grease. I was cast as Marty, one of the pink ladies in Grease, and that story will come back around in a moment, that show and that character. So here I am at 18. I was an 18-year-old freshman in college, and doing my very first musical, and I loved it. And I said, "Oh, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. I don't know anything about it other than watching Sound of Music with my cousins at my grandmother's house when I was a child. But this is what I'm doing." And the next year, we did Brigadoon, and I was cast in that show. And so here I am at 20 years old with an associate's in music who has now decided I'm going to pursue theater. I'm going to get my bachelor's in theater and do this for the rest of my life. So I came to Southeastern and I met Del McLean and I auditioned. Here I am, this person who has done 2 musicals ever. I've never read a play script in my life. I've never had an acting class, and I want to be a part of the theater program. And I auditioned, and he said, "Well, you've got a lot to learn. But if you'll be a sponge, and if you'll learn as much as you can, and if you'll work really hard, I think you could do this." And I did. And I got my bachelor's, and I've been working ever since, and that was 25 years ago.
Nice.
So that story, I think it made me stronger. It made me work so much harder because I didn't know anything. And I was just coming in going, I want to know everything. I want to be a part of it, and I'll do anything it takes to be a part of it. And I'm so grateful that Southeastern took a chance on this kid who knew nothing and gave me a wonderful education. And the rest, as they say, is history. I've been in this business ever since.
Nice. So one thing we didn't touch on in the intro and everything is that we are currently sitting in the Visual and Performing Arts Center at Southeastern Oklahoma State University in Durant, Oklahoma. You mentioned you are an alumni
I am
here, but now,
proud, very
but,
proud alumni.
but now you are back here and you are teaching the next
Yes.
generation of theater lovers. What's it like coming back here as a member of the faculty and not as a student?
That has been the greatest joy. And I know everyone says that it's so cliche. Everyone says, oh, it's so beautiful to be an educator and watch these kids have these aha moments. But if you've ever seen the aha moment, there really is such a beauty. And to be at my alma mater, to be teaching with colleagues that were, some of them were my professors. Some were colleagues, and now here we are teaching together. People that I've watched, the faculty and staff here are really wonderful humans, and they're beautiful artists, and they are creating incredible art. And to stand with them and be on their team for a place that is so deep in my heart. I love this university. I always have. And to be a part of the faculty for a place that I love that changed my life is really incredible. And I'm grateful every day. I wake up smiling and happy to go to work every day. And that's not a fib. I mean it.
And that's the dream of everybody. I mean, I don't care what people says about in the past or anything like that. That's the American dream.
That's the
To
dream.
find what you love to do and do that.
Every
And so
day.
if you could do that, that is a blessing.
It is. And I count it as a blessing. I'm very happy. I'm very, very happy to be here.
So you got a bachelor's degree, a BA in music theater from Southeastern.
Yes.
And then you went to
So I got my bachelor's in May of 2003. Oh, I just shared how old I am on the podcast. So in 2003, I was graduating, and that in that May. And then February, I had auditioned at UPTAs. I'm sure you've heard of UPTAs, the Unified Professional Theater Auditions. And I got several callbacks. And one of the callbacks was for the national tour of Greece. So I get a phone call and they say, "Hey, we want you to fly to New York. Um, we want you to come to another round of callbacks for this national tour." And I said, "Thank you. My goodness. What an honor." But that's graduation weekend. It's finals week and graduation weekend. I've worked really hard for this degree. I can't miss finals. Um, Thanks. I appreciate it, but I can't fly to New York right now. So that was the phone call. And then a month or so passed, and I think, well, that was fun. How cool that this girl from Oklahoma was being considered for a national tour. Um, and I get another phone call. And they said, "Hey, we've auditioned about 500 people for this role. Do you want the job or not?" And I said, "Oh, yes, yes, I do. I do." So I played Marty, which is one of the pink ladies in Greece. Our show had Frankie Avalon and Chubby Checker, and we toured for 13 months. And I mentioned the show because that was the very first musical I did at Carl Albert at my junior college. And here we are, just a few years later on the national tour, playing the same role. Um, so after tour, um, I met, of course, so many New York friends and ended up meeting my roommate. And so I moved straight to New York City after the tour ended. And we Gosh, I lived there 5 years and worked as an actor and was auditioning and in and out of the studio. I was doing some recording for different workshops and different musicals that were being picked up. And then, goodness, after leaving New York, I worked in Dallas for several years. I worked in Kansas City for several years. I worked in Fort Worth, back to Dallas. Um, I actually got my equity contract, my first equity contract in 2006. So here we are 20 years later for a theater in Indianapolis. If you've ever heard of Beef and Boards Dinner Theater, they gave me my first equity contract. And in fact, I messaged them just today before I came to meet you, Tim, because I was thinking about my story and what the past 25 years, um, where I've been and who I've met. And I reached out to them to say, this marks 20 years. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for that contract. Thank you for um, taking a chance on me and letting me be a part of your theater for that time, because it opened up so many years of so many beautiful stories. And I'm really, really grateful. So 20 years later, I'm still part of Actors Equity Association. And during the pandemic, I said, I think I'll get my master's degree. So I got my master's from Southeastern. Bum, ba-da-da. I like to talk about Southeastern. So I got my master's and ended up still working quite a bit in DFW in the Dallas area. And then things happened, and I have 2 little boys. I'm a single mom of 2 little boys, and we needed to come home. So I came back to Durant, and I have no regrets. I still work in Dallas. I still jot down there and still auditioning for things in Dallas. It's a quick drive. I work here as an actor, as an educator, as a director, as a teacher, and my children are very happy here. We have the Oklahoma Shakespearean Festival Academy for the Performing Arts, and they do 2 shows a year, a show a semester. My kids are 10 and 12, and I'll talk about OSF's Academy later, but they are very entrenched in theater, and they love it. And we're really blessed to be back here in Durant. So there's my journey.
So you got your degrees, you're a professional actress, You're traveling all over the place. You've been in New York City. You've been active down in Dallas. What made you want to become an educator?
I think I've always been an educator. It has always been, um, even throughout my career as an actor, I've always been teaching. So when I worked for Dallas Children's Theater, um, I was part of their education system and taught for them for about 12 years. And then also did shows and worked in the box office. When I was at Casa Manana in Fort Worth, I was a resident actor. We were hired as resident actors. So you had to do every show in the season. Um, but you were also asked to teach. So I taught classes while I was working as an actor there. I've always been teaching, and a big reason, even that 20-year-old kid who came to audition to be a part of the theater program at Southeastern, one of the things I told them when I auditioned was, I know I want to teach at some point, and I want to be a teacher who's done it. I want to know the ins and outs. I want to travel. I want to work so that when I get in front of these students, I have something to offer that's unique and different. And I didn't just read about it, I did it. And I'm still doing it. I love teaching. I love teaching. I teach K through third and college students all at the same time. And I love all of them. And I'm so grateful to be working with those students of all age levels. Does that, I don't know that I quite answered your
Oh,
question, but
no,
I hope
you did.
so.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that the totally blows that old adage out of the way that those who can do and those who can't teach.
I hate that.
I do too. Because
I really
sometimes
do.
I think most times the best teachers are the ones that have actually done it. So I think that's awesome. And do it while you can.
Yes,
You
for
know,
sure.
I mean, I hate to say that, they'll always be teaching. You can always fall back on that. There is eventually going to come a time where you can't travel to act anymore.
Right,
I mean, none of us are getting any younger. You're certainly not my age, but I'm doing what I can while I can.
right.
There's going to come a time when I can't do this. And especially my acting career, my directing career, all of that, there's going to come a time when I can't. And so I want to do as much as I can now. I've wasted many, many years,
Sure.
not doing it. So, all right. So, let me see. A lot of these questions bounced around. So here's a really interesting one, and I think this will kind of help a lot of people. You've been an actors. Ugh,
One more time.
I'll try that again. You've been an active actors equity member since 2006, as you said. What does it take to sustain a professional acting career for that long while also teaching?
So, not only have I been an actor for over 20 years, I am also, I mentioned, a single parent, and I've been a single parent for a decade. So, I have not ever been able to just work one job. I've always had to have at least two to survive. I have a 10 and a 12-year-old boy. I have two boys, 10 and 12 years old. They eat so much. I know everyone says, oh my goodness, when you have a boy, oh, they're going to eat so much. And I'm thinking, oh, but you're just being dramatic. I, I,
It's a real thing.
it's a real thing. They eat so much. And of course, just on one income between rent and water and heat and all the activities and food, I've always had to have multiple jobs. So I teach. I'm full time faculty here at the university. I also am an instructor for the Oklahoma Shakespearean Festival Academy for the Performing Arts, and I still act. So, what does it take to do all that? Um, Patience. It takes the ability to market yourself and put yourself out there constantly. No one's going to market to you like you can. And that is not an easy task. But if you're going to be an actor for 20 years, you are still putting yourself out there. You're still auditioning. You're still making phone calls. You're still writing emails and sending messages and keeping your headshots up to date. And you're still doing all of the work on top of your full-time gig, on top of your side gigs, because you're just trying to make sure you have enough money in the bank to survive. So my I don't know if it's advice, or words of wisdom for anyone who wants to pursue a professional acting career is that you just have to keep putting yourself out there. And I am pretty well known in most markets, regionally in this area, especially. Um, my work with OSF, they obviously know me. They know what I do. Um, Most of the theaters in Dallas, I'm pretty well known in the Dallas area. They're going to know who I am. Um, but I still have to show up. I still have to send in audition videos. I cannot assume just because I have X amount of credits on my resume or that I know certain amount of people that I'm going to have gigs lined up. It doesn't work like that. I still have to put myself out there, and I have to figure out a way to juggle a schedule between my work and my children and their activities because they're doing shows and piano lessons and choir and you know so it is a balancing act. I am highly organized. I love a good spreadsheet, color coded. Um, and I know that a lot of artists aren't always super organized, and that's okay. But if you want to juggle this life, I would recommend get a planner. Have something physical that you can look at every day. Trying to stay as organized as possible is truly the only way I've been able to survive and do this thing that I do. Um, is just literally juggling every moment of every day. I have to have it planned from the time I wake up till the time we go to bed at night. Who's going where, what time, who picks up? Oh, me. It's always me picking up and always me dropping off and trying to juggle the three of our lives. So, yeah, how do you do it? Be patient, give yourself grace, put yourself out there over and over and over again, and stay organized. There- Those are my thoughts.
Okay. And you love the computer. I'm old school. I like paper.
I love
It's
paper.
so I didn't bring it with me. It's in my other backpack, but I have a calendar that I keep in there to balance my
I do
shows,
as
to
well.
balance my, auditions, to balance
Yes,
my podcast, all of my interviews, all that kind of stuff. So I have to know, okay, when am I rehearsing? What gaps do I have to in order to do
that's
interviews?
right.
And so I've been cramming all of these educator interviews up ahead because they're running through the end of April, but I've got two shows going on.
All right.
So I've kind of had them prepared and
The
ready to
juggle.
go. So yeah, I understand.
Yes.
That's great.
And
Great.
that's something that we're trying to teach our college kids just in life. It's not even if you're an artist or not an artist or trying to figure out, listen, you now have to take responsibility. You know when these classes are, you know when things are due. I can't do this for you. So that's kind of for everyone.
Yeah.
What are you doing to stay organized, even if organization isn't your strong suit? You you got to do it.
Yeah. So let's shift gears just a little bit. Let's talk about the Oklahoma Shakespeare Festival.
Yay!
You've actually performed with them, everything from Gloucester and King Lear to Fiona in Shrek the Musical. So, how did you get started with Oklahoma Shakespeare Festival, and what keeps you coming back?
Oh, what a great question. So, the Oklahoma Shakespearean Festival is actually housed here on the campus of Southeastern Oklahoma State University. So, it is a professional theater company housed on campus, and it was created to be a training ground for our theater students. So, something that is really incredible that I had the opportunity when I was pursuing my bachelor's is that I was able to work professionally while going to school. So all of our theater majors have the opportunity to work with professionals who are flown in. So in the summer is when we do the professional side of things. So we'll fly people in, from New York or wherever to come in for the summer, and we do a Shakespeare, of course. We are the Oklahoma Shakespearean Festival. And we typically do a musical or a cabaret, a musical review. And then we have our young actor studio, which is our teenagers, and our children's theater, which is ages 5 through 13. So we usually have 125 kids and then about 50 to 80 teenagers. And then you also have your professional company. Um, so all of that is to say, when I was a student here, I was able in the summer to start working professionally and meeting professional designers, directors, actors, choreographers, fight choreographers who would fly in for the summer. And the connections you made, I mean, that was incredible for, an early 20-something kid to start meeting these professionals. I still feel like I know so many people in the business because of those early summers, and we've stayed so connected. Um, so my very first contract with the Oklahoma Shakespearean Festival was back in 2001. Um, and remember, I was the kid who didn't know anything, and here I was pursuing this theater degree. And my first role was Bianca in Othello. And I loved it. And I learned so much. I think I had one monologue, maybe a few lines, but that changed me forever. And I loved getting that opportunity. And so, um, after that, I did several gigs, would come back in the summer for OSF. When I left, because I left for almost 20 years, I would sometimes just fly in for the summer. They flew me in to play Belle in Beauty and the Beast. Oh, I was young and cute. Those days are gone, but it was so wonderful and so magical. And I, was doing my thing in New York, and they flew me in to do My Way, the Frank Sinatra musical. And there were other summers that I would fly in to do other things, but would come back, just for the summer. Our tagline, if you will, for the Oklahoma Shakespearean Festival is Oklahoma Shakespearean Family. We have sweatshirts where the festival's been crossed out and it says Oklahoma Shakespearean Family, and it is. And I think that's why I've continued to come back. This is home. Theater at Southeastern, OSF. There is no other theater, and I've loved, please, world, please know, I've loved the theaters I've worked for across the country. I have, and I'm grateful for them. But nowhere has ever been home like OSF. And we continue to meet people, or people will come in. There's a playwright in New York City that came down a couple years ago to be an actor for us. And that first summer I looked at him and I said, "You'll be back. You're going to fall in love. Like, this is how it works. People fall in love with OSF." And he's like, "I live in New York. Like, I don't think I'm going to fall in love with this company in Durant, Oklahoma." I was like, okay, enjoy the summer, but we'll see you soon. The next year he was like, "I'm so happy to be home." He came back the next year. He came back. He actually wrote an adaptation of A Christmas Carol just for OSF.
Okay.
Anyway, he's a pretty up and coming playwright in New York, doing really great things. And he wrote a play specifically for us. And the acknowledgement or the introduction is for my Durant family, for
Oh,
OSF.
that's sweet.
You are my family. And I was like, see, I told you. It is. And I know that probably most people with their home theaters feel that way. And it is something that many actors and directors and, technicians experience, of that one place that feels like home. And this is this is why I've continued, even when I was living in Dallas or wherever, and I would come back and do a show, and because it is home, it's family, and it's a really special place. It really, really is. Um, can I talk about one of the roles that I just think is really unique and interesting?
That's yours.
He points to the microphone. Um, One of the things that I love about OSF is our producing director. She's very open about not worrying about gender norms or things that maybe is typical roles that are played by a typical character, blah blah blah. She really kind of sees things in a different way. So like you mentioned, I played Gloucester this past summer. I've never had my eyes gouged out on stage before. That was fun. It was a three-pronged gardening tool.
I don't think I've ever heard that said quite that way. Never had my eyes gouged out. That was fun.
It was one of the coolest things I've ever done. Loved playing Gloucester and Lear. Um, but one of the roles I would love to talk about with OSF, because I'm mentioning that, we kind of see things outside of the box. I played Ophelia 20 years ago. I lived, her story. I breathed her air. I felt her pain. And Ophelia was one of those roles that it stayed with me a long time. And then 20 years later, I was cast as Polonius. So to have lived her story, lived her life, felt her pain, and then to play her parent and know her pain. And now, as a parent, watching her go through this and experience it from the parental side, how many people get the opportunity to play a character and then 20 years later of the same play get to play the parent of that character? So I love that OSF plays around with those kinds of things. We didn't necessarily change the lines. I mean, she still said father, and we still talked about Polonius. They said him, whatever. We didn't change Shakespeare's lines. Um, but it was clearly I played it as me, and I wore a dress, and I played it as a female, as her mother, but just as a parental figure. And those kind of roles, I don't know that I would get them other places. I don't know that I would have the opportunity to play Polonius or Gloucester or Cassius in Caesar. I don't know that I would have those opportunities. And so to be here and be in a place where I am trusted as an actor to make these interesting choices, and to be with people and a director who can look at me and say, hey, how'd you feel about Polonius? Yeah, let's do it. So I think that's one of the things that also makes OSF unique and special. Because we explore and see what is behind these characters. And when you think about some of these roles, especially in Shakespeare, it's one thing for the father to be upset with the child or watch the child go through something. It's different. It hits different when it's mom, right? So I loved those opportunities. It's a big reason why I came back.
Awesome. And you could tell, I don't, you guys can't see the animation that's going on here, but even in just the voice, you can tell the passion that you have, not only for Shakespearean Festival or even Southeastern, but just for the art that we do,
I do.
there's an evident passion there, and that's what draws me to this. That for me, and I've said this several times in multiple places, including the podcast, theater is therapy for me.
It is.
I grew up in an era where a lot of what the kids today are calling bullying,
Sure.
it was everyday life. We just dealt with it, and things have changed and all of that. But I had got up to a point when I was a kid. I just theater was good for me just to be somebody else for a
Mhm.
while, and to get away. And so that helps develop that passion. And
And
nowadays,
empathy.
yeah, and nowadays
And
kids
empathy.
are dealing with a lot,
Yes,
and
they are.
it's sad that more and more schools are cutting back on their fine arts budgets and things like
The one
that.
thing they need more than
Exactly.
anything
Right. And
is
so
the arts.
that's why I love this educator series, because these educators are so important. You guys are so vital to not only to the arts, but you guys are so vital to the future of the state of everything,
That's right.
the future of our country, the future of our world. I think a lot of it relies on theater. I've several people that I've talked to, several educators that I've talked
Sure.
to. You can look at every level of society, and just about every leader has gotten where they are because of some form of theater. And I think what you guys are doing are amazing. So again, to everyone, thank you. Um,
I'm so sorry.
oh no, you're fine.
We talk a lot about, in fact, one of my students just mentioned in class um, on Wednesday, saying something about, oh, I'm a theater major, and getting these looks of, oh, are you sure you want to be a theater major? And kind of that, talk down to this person about, there's other things. Are you sure that's what you want to pursue? And when we're in class talking, and I am such a firm believer, just like what you were saying, we are teaching life skills.
Yep.
What you learn in theater will only make you better at anything you choose to do, whether you're going to be an actor or not. And that's a big thing for me as an educator. Yes, I hope that many of my students will pursue this art form. I want that. I want this art form to live forever. It will, but I want my kids to be a part of it. But I also recognize that not every person has this straight line path. I'm proof. Just because you thought you wanted to do something, life sometimes it takes you on this new path. And that's okay. And so whatever they pursue, I hope I'm looking around the room like I'm looking at my students right now. They're not here. But I hope that those kids, I hope that whatever they do, they can now do it with confidence. They can now stand in front of a group, because they will at some point stand in front of a group and speak and present something at some point, no matter their career. So maybe we can help them stand and present with confidence, that they can stand and speak clearly, that they can speak loudly. I mean, it just sounds so elementary, but there are kids who are
Absolutely.
terrified to speak out loud. Last year at the high school, I had a student who did not want to take my class. She did not sign up for that. She got stuck in that class and she did not want to be there. And the very first day that I asked them to, stand and speak and give this presentation, and she is sobbing and she is sweating and there are tears coming down her face, and she is shaking, and she's just, I cannot do this. I cannot do this. She goes in the hall. She's like, I'm going to throw up. To the end of the year, now this same student, by the end of last year, she was the one that was like, oh, okay, I can go first, or yes, I'll go. If I did nothing else last year, if there are no other students if for that one person who thought they were going to throw up, they're sweating, they're crying, they're pleading with me, please don't make me do this. I cannot speak in front of this group. To the end of the year saying, yes, I can do that. Yes, not only can I do it, I'll go first. That was worth it. The whole year was worth it for that moment. And
Those
so,
aha moments
yeah,
that
those
you're talking
aha
about. Yep.
moments, it all comes back to the
That's right.
aha moments. But no matter what you do, these are life skills. And I hope that, like you said, no matter what these kids do, that they are better people because they spend time in theater.
Yeah, that's great. So let's talk about this for a second. So we're sitting here, Southeastern State, Oklahoma State
Oklahoma
University.
State
Sorry,
University.
get it all there
It's
together.
a long name
Yeah,
for a pretty small school.
there you go. So again, Durant, Oklahoma, fairly rural place.
Sure.
I used to, for several years, was a pastor in Cushing, Oklahoma, and this is kind of the same thing. You don't accidentally end up in Durant. You have to be going here for a purpose. So it's very rural. What are some of the unique challenges and opportunities of building and of sustaining a theater program in here at Southeastern as opposed to, say, Oklahoma City, Tulsa?
I think one of the things that makes our program sustainable is that we are one of the only places for many of these tiny little towns to come and see theater. So, you've got kids in Hugo and Antlers and Rattan, and you've got kids within this, hour of Durant. And they don't have the opportunity to go see Shakespeare unless they come here. There's not a theater in, a small Bogue Cheeto doesn't have a professional theater company. So they come to Durant. Many of our community members, like you said, it is pretty rural. Um, they don't necessarily have the money to drive to Dallas to go see something at the Winspear or at the Wiley. Um, that is not something that is easy for many of our, especially the small towns surrounding Durant. And so for theater at Southeastern to have a theater program, and I have to say, we don't just have a general theater degree. We actually offer 3 theater degrees. So we have technical theater and design, which is not a common degree. You don't get that very often. We have that here. You can get, or you can double major. You can do technical theater and design. We also offer integrated studies of performance. So they are taking dance classes and voice lessons and acting classes. And we also have an arts administration degree. Now, Southeastern has a very um, prolific, a very exciting business program. And so many people ask, why would I get an arts management degree with the theater department instead of a marketing degree or a management degree with the business department? Great question. If you're going to run a theater one day, if you're going to be a company stage manager one day, if you're going to run a dance studio, perhaps you want to work in a museum, perhaps you want to, pursue the administrative side to an arts organization, you need a different skill set than what you would get for a management degree in business. It's different. Running a dance studio is very different than running a store. It's different. You just need a different set of skills. So we have not only a performance degree, we have a technical degree and a management degree. So you've got all of these surrounding towns, all the way down into Dallas, that need a place that they can come and study theater. And you can do that here in small Durant, Oklahoma. The other thing that makes our program so unique is Southeastern does not charge out of state tuition. So all of our Texas kids, because we're 30 minutes from the border, all of those Sherman and Denison, all of the kids from Texas that want to come to Southeastern, they pay in-state tuition. We have people from, we have a lot of kids from all over the country that come to Southeastern because of our aviation program. Um, but we also have kids who are coming to study theater or technical theater and design because it's affordable and they get in-state tuition and it's small enough that if you come to Southeastern, we're putting kids on stage from their freshman year on. You know, as a student, when I was a student, I was on stage every semester. We have kids who come to Southeastern to pursue because they get stage time. And we all know that you learn so much from doing it. We love our acting classes. They're amazing. Please keep taking them. But you're going to learn something different in a show than you would in a class. You just do. So it's small enough that they get stage time, which is pretty incredible, and it's affordable, and there's no out-of-state tuition. But I think that we are serving this entire community and all of the surrounding towns, not just Durant, because they have the opportunity to pursue art and that they might not get to do otherwise. We're their safe space. I'm so excited. I know I'm nodding and I'm moving my shoulders and
That's
I'm
okay.
moving my hands because it is exciting. It is exciting that we can be a place for so many of these other small communities that maybe can't afford to go down to Dallas, that they can come see professional theater here, or they can come and study theater here in Durant.
That's awesome. So, as this episode and all of these like this are focusing on the education side of it, you have a master's in education in theater pedagogy. You clearly thought deeply about how to teach theater, obviously. So, thinking about how you approach the training of the next generation of theater artists, what
Yes.
is your teaching philosophy?
Ooh, no pressure.
Yeah, let's go with that one.
Oh, what is your teaching philosophy?
Yeah,
You're training the next generation. No pressure. Tell us everything.
yeah, this is one of those doctoral questions. Go ahead and give us your dissertation.
Well, I think it goes back to what I said previously. I approach it as no matter what you do, this is a life skill. I teach this in a way that it's all applicable to life. So, for instance, I'm teaching voice and diction right now. And we're doing a whole unit on character voices. We're playing. What can you do with your voice? And just we're reading, we're doing, we're playing, all the things. Well, part of that unit is I'm having them read children's books, and there's a Head Start right across the street. And we are going to take all those character voices that we've been working on, and we're walking across the street. In fact, we're doing it next week. And we're going to read to 3 and 4-year-olds. Because really, who are your worst critics? 3 and 4-year-olds, they will tell you. Um, but it's this idea that, okay, you might not end up doing voiceover work and creating characters at Funimation and Dallas for all of this cool new anime. You might not do that. Okay. So why would I have you create character voices? Why is it important to play and see what your voice can do? You might not one day pursue this full time and need all these voices in your bag of tricks, but you just might go and read. And you might one day read to your kids or you might read to your nieces and nephews, or you might work at a library, or who knows? The possibilities are endless. So for me, going back to that idea that it is a life skill, and I try really hard in all of my classes to figure out, okay, we're working on monologues, or we're working on this, or we're working on that. Why else would you need this skill? And I talk about it and I bring it up and I mention it, and we find ways that everything we're learning can be used in life and in other facets of their life. So, if I were to say, what is my teaching philosophy? I think it boils down to that this makes you a well rounded human. And so, everything you learn in my class, everything you learn in class at this university or any university, you can do more than just that one thing that you're learning with that skill set. You now can do anything, anything you could dream of. So that would be wrapped up, tied up with a big red bow. That would be my philosophy.
And that is perfect.
Ah, thank you.
That is perfect. You got the job. But,
Oh, thank goodness.
okay, so looking to the future.
Yes.
Okay, we've wrapped up
Oh, let's look to
all
the
of
future.
this. Let's look ahead.
Okay.
Okay. But before we do that,
Oh, no, I was getting ready to talk
I
about
know.
the future.
I know. Let's talk about just one quick question before we do that.
Yes, of course.
I realized I had skipped one that I really wanted to cover. Uh, Talking about how you put on your seasons here at the university. How do you go about selecting what shows to put on here in the theater program?
So I think maybe you're asking because of our demographic or because of our location, those things that we consider. So we have to consider theater at Southeastern shows differently than we think about OSF shows. Um, so for theater at Southeastern, we are in a building year. I think everyone is rebuilding. COVID hit us all really hard. I know we hear that all the time. It's talked about all the time. But for a theater program, when you can't go out and do any recruiting, when you can't put shows on live, we were doing things virtually, but that hurts our program differently than it hurts, maybe other programs. So I feel like we're really ramping up and building up again, and getting kids back in classrooms and coming to the theater. Um, there were a couple of years that we thought, are we going to have an audience? Because people were scared to be in crowds for a long time. So now we're all back. So we think about when we choose shows, and of course, there's a whole team of people selecting shows, but we are thinking about our kids. Right now, we have a lot of freshmen and sophomores. We don't have a lot of seniors. We only have 2 seniors right now. So we've got this big group of young actors. So you pick shows for that group, right? You don't want to pick something that maybe is a little more advanced, or something that maybe needs those older actors. So we think about that. And because the philosophy and the drive for theater at Southeastern is to get kids on stage from the day they get here, we think about those big shows. We just did Peter and the Starcatcher because it has a huge ensemble, and the year before that, Puffs, because again, a big ensemble, and you can get all those kids who are freshmen from this tiny little town, and they said, "I'm going to be a theater major," and they get on stage their first year to do these big, comedic ensemble pieces. So we do think about that. Um, we are the Department of the Performing Arts. So there is the music division and the theater division. So when we choose a musical, we're not only thinking about our theater students, we're thinking about the music students as well. So we collaborate for our musicals. So we're thinking about that. But as far as the area, we do have to think about content. Of course, every theater has to think about content. I feel silly that I even said that. But This is the Choctaw Nation. The headquarters is here in Durant. Um, we have a very strong and good relationship with the Choctaw Nation, and we would never want to produce a play that could be offensive to anyone, obviously. But we really are sensitive to think about that group of people. We also think about because it is a smaller town, it's a little more conservative. So if we do shows like Stop Kiss, which we did a couple of years ago, we have to be very transparent and very clear that um, on ratings and telling. And I think all theaters try to tell their audience and be transparent. But for us, it's very important. We don't want to turn away audience members. We want to make sure they know what they're coming to see and the content and, any disclaimers, because we are in a conservative, smaller area. Um, so those are some of the things we think about when selecting, um, and just where are the kids? What are they ready for? Are they ready for this, that, or the other? Or is that maybe in 2 years? Those are the type of considerations we think about.
Okay,
If
good.
that
Yeah.
answered your question.
So now I'm looking ahead.
Oh,
So you
here we
covered
go.
that. So looking ahead, what are some of your goals for the theater program here at Southeastern? Let's say what do you think it's going to look like or what do you want it to look like in say 5 years?
Mm-hmm. I am one of the newest faculty members here at the university. So um, I am still very much in that. Sure, whatever you all want to do, I'm great. I love it. I'm ready for anything that's proposed. One of the things that has been important to me, especially because I am an extrovert. I know you're surprised. Everyone is very surprised to hear me say that. So I really enjoy recruiting. I enjoy that aspect. And that's not what everybody enjoys. So we have spent this past year getting into high schools and talking to kids and doing workshops with kids and telling them about what we have to offer here, and then adding that extra little carrot where we say not only will you get on stage and quickly, you also have the opportunity to work for a professional theater company. So throughout the year, they can be working backstage for these academy classes for OSF and have a professional credit, on their resume. So 4 years with us, they've got shows that they've either designed, our technical majors, they're designing the lights, they're designing sound, they are, creating the projections, they are building the set. Um, so you've got 4 years worth. We do 2 shows a semester, or at least 1 show a semester, depending on, year to year. And you're getting professional credit if you're designing the lights for an OSF show or working backstage. So you leave with a pretty good resume. So my goal for, if we were to say 5 years, is that we really continue to recruit and get people here that maybe didn't know what we have to offer. They know about schools in the Oklahoma City area. Of course they do, because that's a heavily populated area. We know about what theater and what's happening in OKC, which is awesome. But not everybody knows what's happening in Durant. So my goal would be that we have spread our fingers very strategically, and that we go out pretty wide and go meet people and get people here that maybe had no idea who we were, and build our theater department even more. And then that we also get those kids to start meeting and connecting and networking with the professionals who come in every summer with OSF. So I a goal, um, I just want to continue to see it not just grow, but grow in a way that is fruitful, grow in a way that is getting kids excited about this art form and getting them prepared to go out and conquer the world.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a tagline for you. Okay, so Southeastern OSF, your own professional career, any shows or projects coming up that you are really excited about?
Ooh, there's always something in the works.
Okay, so anything you could talk about. I know sometimes in the professional world, you kind of have that little NDA thing you can't talk about. So,
Um, one of the things I'm excited about is we are producing Merry Wives of Windsor this summer. And for a theater company, a Shakespearean theater company, to have been around for 47 years, this is our 47th season. Somehow, we have produced Shakespeare in Durant, Oklahoma for 47 years. And somehow, we've had audience members come and see Shakespeare for 47 years in Durant. I mean, I just think this is
that's crazy.
crazy
Yeah.
and wonderful and amazing.
Yeah.
Um, so I say that because in 47 years, you would think we have done every single Shakespeare. I mean, how could you not? But somehow we have not ever produced Merry Wives of
No
Windsor.
way.
So this will be the very first time we've produced that particular play here at OSF. So I'm really excited about it to do something and expose our audience to a show they have not ever seen here in this area. So that would be what I can talk about, that I'm excited about.
Okay, cool. That's pretty impressive. So, um, so here's one, and this could be bigger than our podcast, but I throw it in here anyway. So, how do you see theater changing, and how, as a performer, director, and teacher, how do you change with it?
It's a great question. One of the biggest things, and you and I touched on this before the microphones were turned on, we weren't always aware of content and things that were offensive. We didn't know what we didn't know, right? And so um, there are works that maybe aren't appropriate for now that we know that certain things just can't be said or can't be repeated and those kinds of things. So I think it is changing because we are more aware and we do understand that it's time to really promote female playwrights. It's time to promote um, works and pieces that promote, the LGBTQ community. It's time to embrace maybe some of those plays that were put aside or looked over because, this, that, or the other. And so if for me, if I want to continue, if we all want to continue to create art, we have to be aware that there have been some that didn't get their say, that didn't get their spotlight, and it's time to spotlight them. It's time to highlight. And let's get excited about it and not be scared or think, oh, well, it has to be. And here I am as a Shakespearean actor saying this. Like, I understand there is a time and a place for classics. I want them. But there are certain Shakespeare that I don't want to do. I don't want to do. I almost said Kiss Me Kate because I'm a musical theater person. I don't want to do Taming of the Shrew. I don't ever want to do that show. No, thank you. I also don't really want to do Kiss Me Kate, and that's okay. That's okay. You don't have, it doesn't mean I don't respect his work because I don't like this one play that I think is problematic. Okay, that's fine. So to grow and to acknowledge that it's time to start reading new works. It's time to promote and really dig in and explore what art is out there other than what we've always known. So that's where I think it is going, and if we want to be a part of it, we gotta embrace that.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So, what advice would you give to young people in Oklahoma who are thinking about pursuing theater professionally?
I would say I think it goes back to what I mentioned earlier. Keep putting yourself out there. Be vulnerable. It is not easy to be rejected. It's not. It's hard, but it is now a part of your life. So just keep going, keep showing up. There are so many times that actors will get cast um, later on, not because they weren't talented from the beginning. They were, I mean, everybody's talented, whatever. I mean, I lived in New York. Everybody was talented. Everybody could sing. Everybody was a great actor, whatever. But people who get cast are the ones who keep showing up, and you keep seeing their face and you go, oh yeah, I remember you. I do want to learn more about you. Or the people who are good to work with. Hi, I'm going to lean into the microphone, show up on time, be kind, be a good person to work with. Because again, everyone's talented. Who cares? So you're talented, so you can sing, so you can dance. Great, good for you. The people who get cast and the people who want to continue to be professionals in this business are people that you want to work with. If you want to work in this business, yes, of course, take the classes, do the things. But to sustain, to continue to work in this business, people are getting cast because they're great to work with, because they show up on time every time, because they take the notes. They do what is asked of them. They jump in when it's, oh my goodness, we've got to get this done. Hey, I'll do it. Yeah, jump in. They have a good attitude. They are fun to work with, and they make the company better. They make the people around them better. Those are the people who will continue to work in this business, because talent only takes you so far. Talent might get you in the building. It might get you into that first show, but it won't keep you there. It won't keep you there. You want to work in this business, you got to be someone that is good to work with and lifts people up and never tears them down. That's how you make it in this business, in my opinion.
I love it. Love it. Okay, so if someone wants to see a show at Southeastern or get involved with the theater program, how do they do that?
Oh, excellent. So you can go to our website, www.se.edu. So Southeastern, we typically call ourselves SE. So if you want to learn more and come
Why
see
do
a
you do
show,
that?
because there are so many people think that we're like a branch of Oklahoma State University.
Sure.
We are not. We are a separate entity. So we typically go by SE. But we are at se.edu, and you can learn more about our theater program there. Or if you're interested in the Oklahoma Shakespearean Festival, you can go to oklahomashakes.com. And you can learn more about how to audition or become a technician for us or come see a show. Um, yeah, we- we've moved on to the technology age. You can go to our website.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'll make sure all of those links are available in the show notes so you
Oh,
guys
thank
can
you
get
so
get in touch
much.
with them. So we've come to the end of our interview. You've listened to any of our shows. We wrap up every show with what we call our curtain call curveballs.
Oh no, I'm so nervous.
Good, you should be.
Oh
So
no.
these are questions that
Oh gosh.
usually they ask the question just right off the top of your head. And so some can be rapid fire, some can be off the wall, some can actually have nothing to do with theater at all.
Listen, we
So
talked about this. I need a script. I'm not good at improv. All right, I'm ready.
welcome to the show. All right. First question.
Oh, I'm nervous.
If you could play any character in any musical tomorrow,
Hmm.
no limitations, who would it be and why?
Hmm. Okay, my dream role has always been Sally Bowles, but I'm too old. No one's gonna ever cast me as Sally Bowles. Okay, so that is gone. My next dream role after that is Miss Hannigan in Annie, because I want to sing little girls, and I admire Carol Burnett so much, and I would give anything to not imitate her by any means, but to just pay homage to some of the choices she made.
Okay, good. I love it. All right, second question. What's the best thing about Oklahoma theater that you don't find anywhere else?
I think it's that family aspect. I really do. We Oklahomans, we really lean into that family relationship in ways that I don't think a lot of other places do. So yes, I think if you become a part of a company in an Oklahoma theater, you're going to feel more familial than you would in perhaps another area.
Very cool. Okay, quick. Top of your head.
Oh gosh. Okay, I'm
Okay.
ready. Mm,
Shakespeare or musical theater? You can only choose one for the
No,
rest of your life.
no, I cannot
Pick one.
see. The third choice, do them both forever. You can no, absolutely not. I cannot answer that.
Okay. Fair. That's
Ah,
fair. Okay.
he's looking at me saying you must. I will
Yeah.
not.
She opted out. So sorry, folks. All right.
Sorry.
Question number 4. What's the most unexpected skill you've learned from being a theater artist that has nothing to do with theater?
Oh. Um I th- mm, I don't know. There's so many. I've learned so many things. Everything about who I am, I learned from theater. Truly. Everything about who I am that has nothing to do with theater.
Yeah.
Okay. When I was married and we would go to parties, he was kind of a big deal, a big wig in the voiceover world and pretty well known. And, we would be at parties and people would obviously want to talk to him because he was a big deal. And I don't know any of these people, and I would just go and talk and do. And he would always come up to me at the end of a party and be like, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I feel like you had to spend some time alone." I'm like, "I'm fine. You do not need to babysit me. I am totally fine to walk into a crowd of total strangers and make conversation or meet people and that's okay. It is totally okay. And so I think that's a skill I don't necessarily need in a new situation, even if it's not theater related, just any situation where there's people that I've never met. You don't have to hold my hand. I'm okay. I can go meet people. So I would say there's a non theater, I don't know.
Sure. There you go. If you weren't in theater, what would you be doing?
Oh my goodness. I had a library job for a short time. I was the librarian at a small school. And if I was not in theater, I would be in a library. And I would love every moment. And yes, sit me down and let me just sit and read.
Just like
Love it.
just like Belle.
Now, listen, librarians do so much more than sit and read.
Okay.
They work very hard, and I loved my time, but it was hard work. Um, but that was a very fulfilling gig. I enjoyed that very much.
Books and theater go hand in hand. So it's
True.
kind of there. So we've come to the end of our time here together.
Oh, we did
You,
it. I was so
you
nervous I would have nothing to say.
you've survived and you did wonderfully. Any parting words of wisdom for our listeners?
I would just like to say thank you, first and foremost. But parting words would be no matter where you live, I promise there is art. You just might have to go and find it. If you don't know about a theater in your area or a museum or a music venue, look it up. go, get out, go support theater in your community because I promise it's out there. You just got to get out and go, 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 go support them financially and by being a patron and showing up and being there as an audience member.
Perfect. Perfect. Natalie Weaver, thank you for being a part of the show.
Thank
It's
you.
been a wonderful time just getting to know you. Being here at Southeastern, a surprising gem here in Southern Oklahoma that
Yes.
the vast majority of people in Oklahoma probably don't know about.
Probably not, but they
They
will.
will now. There you go. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you.
For everybody else listening at home, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be a part of this, to listen to this, to bring us into your lives. We hope that you guys will come back and listen to more episodes. If you can, check out Southeastern. We'll have all the websites and everything in the show notes. You can check them out on Facebook, Instagram, all the socials.
All the things.
Just check that out. You can find Natalie there as well. Uh, I'm not gonna say stalker or anything because that's just weird.
Thank you.
But seriously, look them up, check them out, go see shows, support them just as we said. And as she said, no matter where you're at, as I always end the show, continue to support the arts.